Just for closure, would like to apologize for the rough sketch and for the random pauses in the video. My arm is hurting, and this is my first time using this certain program, specifically drawing on my computer. But I thought this would be cool because I see a lot of other people do speed paints and talking about their OC and yada yada, and I thought maybe you guys, like 22 of you, would like to see stuff like this, so here we go. Jax is a female, but for most of her life has disguised herself as the male gender and was sometimes confused as one. She has no breasts, she's flat-chested, and she's pretty tall, but I guess she's short compared to other people. She doesn't exactly personify any nation, and as a human, she was born during the Roman Empire, so she stayed in Italy most of her life, but she was abused and bullied and belittled by a lot of other nations, such as Grandpa Rome, aka Roman Empire. So when she was at the age of 17, she fled to Russia, where she met the personification of Russia, aka Ivan, when he was a young child, and despite her young age, she decided to take him in. Before that, she did starve and freeze to death during the winter season as a regular human, but when she woke up, she was confused because she was pretty sure that she was dead, or maybe she thought she was a ghost, but turns out she wasn't, which led her to be really confused because, well, I don't know. When Yvonne immediately recognized her to be a nation, just she doesn't have a nation she's directly personified as. Although she doesn't exactly represent any nation, she is in fact involved with the German, Italian, and Russian governments as, kind of like a nation. She does things for their leaders, such as paperwork and all that type of good jazz. She also goes to world meetings as well. She met her wife in Europe, and by the way, her wife is my IRL lover, OC, so I will not say anything about that character because my lover has not, in fact, had any detail about her character, and I'm not gonna do that for her unless she wants me to. But back to the main subject. She met her wife in Europe, and she met Feliciano, the hetalia personification of Italy. Her and her wife, a girlfriend at the time, were together for a couple years before deciding to get married, and eventually they ended up adopting Feliciano. Because, he was still pretty young, but he didn't really acknowledge him as, I guess you could say acknowledge him as his mother's, but he didn't acknowledge Yvonne as a sibling because, well, he didn't really know, and plus he was really scared of Yvonne, as almost all the nations are, except America and Belarus, and all that good jazz. She had disguised herself as a male multiple times to fight in battles and join wars for the nations that she worked with. So, especially during World War I and World War II, she was a Teutonic Knight during the nation of Prussia when it was still in reign, and of course she was burned alive but didn't die because she's a nation. And she presumed Prussia was dead, because, although she recognized him as a nation, she was like, maybe some nations just die. So she never saw Prussia again, until when she did, she was like, whoa, dude, I thought you were dead. So they aren't particularly close, but I guess you could say they're mutual friends. What else do I have? Well, her wife are very different, especially when it comes to height difference, and Jax is a lesbian and was born a lesbian. She always had an interest for women, kind of like how I do, because she's basically my hetalia persona and my channel persona, I guess. She was, like I said, she was constantly bullied and belittled by Holy Rome and France and all that good jazz. That's why she fled to Russia. She didn't exactly know where she was going when she left, because if she knew she was going to a cold place, she probably would have brought warmer clothes. She didn't think about bringing food because she thought she would be back, or that she would find some, and she started getting hungry, and she started starving, and during the winter, she didn't have any shelter. She had a fire, but the raging blizzard blew it out, and she blacked out and ended up freezing to death. And though not long later, she woke up, and she was like, whoa, did I freeze to death? As a personification, but not technically a nation, because she doesn't exactly, because there's already personifications for nations. There can be multiple, as shown by Feliciano and Lovino, aka Romano, the Italian brothers, and don't forget their micronation siblings, Saborga, the triplets, very sweet. Although she did adopt Ivan and Feliciano, she did not adopt Ivan's two sisters, and she did not adopt Romano because she didn't know either of them. And her and her wife both, I guess, agreed on having 2 kids, but still acknowledged Ivan's sisters and Lovino, aka Romano, as their children, and took care of them, even if Belarus could be really creepy, and Romano could be a puta sometimes. Yes, it is a bad word, by the way. She still deeply cared for them, and she didn't exactly pick up on Ivan's emotional and physical abusive behavior until sometime during the Soviet Union, when she witnessed him beating Lithuania with his pipe. And since then, she had been sending him to therapy to help him stop and get over those behaviors. And a lot of the time, it didn't really work. And surprisingly, she was never succumbed to that type of abuse, or she never really understood where he started getting that behavior, because she doesn't really know a lot of the history. She usually has this agitated, angry, or annoyed appearance, kind of like Psyche from The Disastrous Life of Psyche K. She usually has a resting bitch face, which does, and the origins from that do come from when she was bullied and abused a lot of her human childhood, although she didn't really understand why they would bully and hurt her. Maybe it's because, and then when she got older, she thought maybe it's because they knew I was a nation before I was, or they maybe knew that I liked girls before I did. She really never understood why, and she still is questioning why they did that to her. Although they usually, especially as a child, they really would just pick on her and bully her. And as she got older, sometimes it would get physical, and it would actually really hurt. But as a child, it was more like teasing, playing, because she was a child, and none of them would hurt a child. It was mostly the citizens and her so-called parents, which were her caretakers. It was usually them who did hurt her and abuse her, especially when she was a child, like in the speed paint that you're seeing right now. as a child, she was pretty happy and like a regular child. She was innocent, she was sweet, and she slowly grew colder and more upset as she got older. A lot of other countries don't really view her as one of them, just some lucky human. She does have a good relationship with some countries like England and America, and of course Feliciano and Ivan. She used to sometimes hang out with Alfred back in the United States, and they were kind of close friends. And she did try to help England with his cooking, although she didn't really know how to cook either, but it did get him somewhere, and he did get some more self-confidence, so he wouldn't get so nervous when it came to cooking for other people. She did fight, like I said, she did fight in some wars, like World War I and World War II, and don't forget the Teutonic Knights, she fought with them as well. She was basically like a therapist for nations, if you think about it. And I am making an animation meme discussing more of her backstory. And I'm sorry this was a little disorganized and kind of messy. I didn't script her backstory. I haven't really written it down. So it's kind of hard to tell you a lot of stuff about it. I will promise that I will try to go more on her backstory and probably script it this time. But I hope you guys enjoyed this speed paint in my video. Thanks for watching. Bye!